So we're still working with a figure. We're going to make a cone figure with diagonal lines impressed on the surface. Now we're still working with our anchor standard of refining and completing artistic work, and our process components are to reflect, refine, and revise. Performance standards reflect on, re-engage, revise, and refine works of art or design, considering relevant traditional and contemporary criteria as well as personal artistic vision. And so, warm-up question, well, what does pi 3.14 represent? So, we should look that up. We looked it up in class, and we had a good time talking about it. So, background, Sol LeWitt. You want to read all about Sol LeWitt and his art? Read this. It tells you about his life and what he believed in. And bottom line is Sol LeWitt used lines, geometric solids, ratios, patterns, formulas, and permutations to create his modern structures and wall paintings. And so that's what we're doing here. We're coming up with things that are inspired by Sol LeWitt. Now, to do this assignment, you click on this link here, and it brings you to Instructables. I'm going to open the link, and there you go. There it is, how to make a cone. Look at this, it shows you how to do it, and step by step, and then in the video, it will show you how to do it as well. Okay, we're going back here. All right, actually, that's not where we want to be. We want to be here. All right, so you're going to create a 3-inch by 4-inch tall open-ended cone by following the instructions in the Instructables, how to make a cone. By watching the video tutorial, once you cut out your cone shape, draw diagonal lines on its surface, starting at the upper left point of the cone and connecting with the lower right-hand corner of the cone. These should be 1/8 inch apart from each other. See the example and the video. Roll out a 1/2 inch slab of clay to the dimensions of 7 inch by 10 inches. Place your template onto the clay and mark all of your diagonal lines at their endpoints on the clay. Take your impressing tool and impress diagonal lines in the clay. Put your template back on the clay and cut out your cone section. Bevel the inside edges of your joining edges at a 45-degree angle and score and slip them together. Clean up your lines on your cone and make sure your base is flat when it is standing. You must use a straight edge tool to make clean straight cuts in your clay, as well as an impressing tool like a bamboo skewer. So this is what your cone template will look like if you make it according to the directions. And this is what the cone looks like once you're done drawing your diagonal lines on it and taping it together, if you want to go there. Now, this is what your form will look like when completed, using a 1/2 inch piece of clay and joined up and looking pretty. Right? So, submit your assignment as period number, last name, first name, SLC4. Example 1, Doe Jane, SLC4. Assignments worth 1 point. Assignments are due at the end of class. I'm giving you a little extra time on this one. Has a lot of problems with our Zoom. Photographs should be submitted as a PDF file made using Google Slides. And as we look over here, I'll make this a little smaller. Okay, your rubric states how well directions are followed. You get a 4. You want an A. Every direction is followed to the fullest extent. Neatness. Completed artwork is exceptionally neat. If your work is not neat, it's not going to get 4. It's not happening. Okay? Make it look good. Work habits. Work the whole period. Get this darn thing done. And expectations. Student has exceeded expectations of his or her ability level. So I want you to get better. Okay? Very important. So here you have a 4-inch tall cone that is going to be flat on top. Okay, when you draw, you need to have the space to get to the top. Okay, so your cone actually 6 inches is the actual height of a cone. You're going to have to draw out to this apex. All right, so but this is a 4 inches to here, and that's how big your cone is going to be. All right, and 3 inches wide. Now, in order to draw a cone to get the exact dimension, you need to make a compass. You need to have a compass. This is a paper compass. I've taken a piece of paper and I've folded it up, okay? Folded it up, and then I put it on D, that's B, and I put it on the edge here, and I have drawn a line here and here. And then I've come in about 1/4 of an inch. I sharpened my pencil. Sharpen your pencil like this so it's nice and sharp. You got a sharp tip on there, and if it's not sharp, make sure it's sharp. Okay, then I came in 1/4 of an inch here, and I poked a hole here, and I poked a hole here. Okay, there you go. Then I take my compass and I put it over here. I have this tool. This is good. Use a pin, use a screw, whatever you got, and you put this onto the apex of D. Then you put your pencil through here, and you draw your arc out over here, and you get your arc. Now you have your arc. Now let's finish this. Now the next thing is to measure AB. A between B is 3 inches. I already figured that out. It's 3 inches. So I know that is 3 inches. Okay, so I figured out that 9.42, the fractional equivalent is slightly less than 9 7/16. And since our ruler is not super exact, we have 1/16, 2/16, 3/16, 4/16, 5/16, 6/16, 7/16. I'm going to go with 7/16 approximately, okay? And I'm going to measure that. The next step is to measure your arc. So I have this device here. I'm going to measure 9.42 inches. Okay, 9.42. Well, what is 9.42 inches in a decimal or a fraction? Let's find that. So I'm going to measure here 9 7/16 here as I roll this around here. Okay. 8, 9, and come up to right here. Right? And an arc would come like that. Okay? So there I have my arc. Okay, now I'm going to draw a line from my mark here to D. Now you want to get your arc here, so you go from D here to the top of the cone. I make a mark here. Now I'm going to poke a hole. There you go. Take your tool here, take your thing, put this through, put it on the apex of there, arrange it perfectly as possible. I'm doing that. Make sure it's where I want it. And now I'm drawing my arc over here. There you go. Now I'm going to cut this out. I want you to, when you do this, to have radiating lines, and you come from the bottom here, bottom corner, to here, and then you're going to run a line across like this on a diagonal. Okay, and you are going to space them about 1/8 of an inch apart. Okay, and you're going to use your tool, a tool like a bamboo skewer, to impress these lines into here. You'll take this tool and you'll mush it down into the clay, into the clay, into the clay, before you put it all together. So so I'm doing this so that you can actually see what the final product would look like. Okay, I take my tape, I put it over here on the underside of here, right here, and I'm just going to cut off my excess here. Cut off my excess. Now I'm going to fold this around to this. You can come here and you can make your initial scoring marks here, so you got it. Do not cut it out yet, right? I'm doing this so I get my what I want here. All right, now, as I said, I would suggest you make your lines. You already made your lines here, so all you got to do is put this over here like this, and you'll know where your line is when you want to go and make your impression on it. I would suggest you do it this way because you'll be having, it will look exact. So now I've got all of my lines where I'm going to impress upon. And you do it before you cut things apart. Okay, so I'm done with that. I'm going to put this back on here, and now I'm going to cut out my form here. Moving this here, right? Now, these edges, pull this up and be gentle. This has got to join to this, so you have to bevel this in, okay? So I'm going to actually come in like this, okay? And I'm going to bevel my edge. Watch how I bevel the edge. I just go in like this at a little, like a 45-degree angle. I score these areas. I score this because I'm going to slip this together. And then once I'm done with it, I'm going to flatten the bottom of it. Everything has to be flat on here. Okay, now, okay, I've got some slip. Put my slip on here. Okay, put your slip on there. You've got your slip prepared. This glues it all together. All right, you got your slip. There you go. All right, now I take this cone and I'm going to join it together. I'm going to join it like that. See that? I'm joining my cone together. Look at that. Okay. That's beautiful. Join that together. Okay. Do not mush it too much. Be careful as you're joining it. All right. And you need to make it look good. Okay. So I can come here and I can mush here on the sides. I want to make sure that this thing comes together nicely. All right. Put it together nicely here and go on the inside as well. And make sure everything is joined nicely in there. Okay. And flip it over so you can actually see what you're doing and get in on it. Okay. And it's not going to be beautiful to begin with. You're going to have to do a little bit of modification to it. Okay. And now you got that. Now you have your sponge. Take your sponge and clean things up. Clean things up with your sponge. Okay. You can go on the inside too and clean things with your sponge. Right. Okay. You got stuff here. You got a seam. You see this seam here? Fix the seam. Okay. Now, this now needs to be cleaned up on the edge here, and you want to make this pretty, and you want to make the top pretty as well. Okay. Take your tool, come around, and you want to have a nice transition here. Okay. You want to have a nice transition on your piece between the lines that you just joined up. Everything you want to look good. Okay. I'm going in here a little bit, right? Nice transition. This over here, you can actually put this down over here like this into the groove, put your finger in there and mush a little bit. And then you can do the same thing here, right? And then the same thing over here. Right? You want to get that in there where it belongs. And then this one too. Right? Okay, now make sure everything looks good, and you're going to clean this up. Clean everything up here so everything blends and everything looks smooth and nice. Okay? Like here, this section here could be a little, and you can use the tippy tip point of this to do that, to make it look good. Go back into it with your sponge and make sure your bottoms are clean. All right, your bottom is clean and it sits nicely over here. Okay, make sure all of your things that are wrapping around look proper. Okay, like they belong, everything belongs. Right? You don't want to have things that are just messed up looking. Right? So clean it up and make sure everything is pretty as you go around. And now you've created this beautiful cone. If you have any things that are cracking or look weird, fix them with your sponge. Fix it with your sponge and make it pretty. Okay? And make sure that this is flat on the bottom. Boom. Flat. And look at it from the top and make sure that your cone is looking nice and all of your areas on the inside and the outside are uniform and pretty.